Hi, I'm Sarah from The Upcoming. A real pleasure to have you here with us in London for the film festival. Maybe you could just begin with a brief introduction to this incredible film, After Sun. What can audiences expect when they watch it?
Oof. It is a film about a young father and his daughter on holiday. It's told very subtly through the point of view of the daughter as an adult about 20 years later. So it's very much a film about memory, about trying to understand your parents with the perspective of time having passed. But I think your parents ultimately being unknowable to you.
And hard to believe it's your feature debut. Tell us a bit about the genesis of the project, and to what extent was it influenced by your own experiences, or else you got the idea for the story?
Yeah, I definitely allowed my own memories from childhood, my relationship to my dad, anecdotes, details to form the outline of the script. And I think over the course of writing it, I reflected a lot on the past, and that process of reflection ultimately found its way into the script through this kind of framing device that runs through the film. This sense of young Sophie grown up, looking back and reflecting. But it is ultimately fiction, and decisions were made over the course of redrafting and making the film and editing that were in service of this story. But it does build to a feeling, quite a specific feeling, which I won't spoil.
And obviously, because of the kind of stripped back nature, I guess, in a way, of the film,
Yeah.
your cast were going to be absolutely crucial. And we've seen Paul sort of rise to stardom, off the back of normal people, and he's just so exceptional in this role. So maybe start talking a bit about him and why you wanted to cast him and how you worked with him.
Yeah, I mean, I think the success of this film was always going to live or die in the cast and in the relationship that they built. And the film is about this young father, and he is better at being a father than he is at just about anything else. And he also has his own private struggles with mental health that he does his best to conceal from his daughter. And Paul just has this inherent warmth and stability that felt really important to make that struggle surprising and to be able to gradually unveil it over the course of the film. And I think he also just had this innate understanding of the script and of my intention that very few people had. We had a really lovely first conversation, and it was clear, and he made clear that he would be a great partner and collaborator on this project, and with Frankie, who'd never performed before.
Yeah, and so how did you kind of discover her, if you like, and be able to elicit this incredibly naturalistic these naturalistic performances and this real ease between the two of them? The character seems so lived in, so it must have taken a bit of prep for them two together as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's credit to them both for getting to know one another and spending time together in the 2 weeks of, I say rehearsal time, but it was really time that they spent hanging out, being on holiday together, going to the beach, eating ice cream, swimming in the swimming pool. And Frankie I found with our casting director, Lucy Party, who has a real knack for discovering talent and for discovering young performers. We had about 800 submissions from kids all over Scotland and slightly beyond during the height of the pandemic. So we really had to do most of that process remotely and rely on video exercises and them being along with us for the ride. And eventually we met 16 in person, and Frankie just blew us away with a real natural ability to act. Mm-hmm. So being on set was just about creating an environment where she felt comfortable and where she could be as much at ease as you can be in front of cameras and perform.
And in terms of what people can take away, I mean, for me, it felt very nostalgic. Like going back on one of the holidays I'm sure lots of Brits have been on, and especially back to that period of the 90s. But it's kind of, there's something very everyday about the film, but there's so much going on as well in every scene. And perhaps we haven't seen that much focus as well on a particular angle of fatherhood. We maybe see more about motherhood but less about fatherhood. So what do you perhaps want people to take away, and particularly about mental health issues? Maybe men aren't as good at talking about them maybe as women are.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's something that we are acknowledging more and more, that there is this epidemic among men. Yeah, it was something that I felt important to portray, but more than anything, it felt important to portray this really positive version of fatherhood, of a relationship that wasn't defined by absence, but by a father who, when they're together, though they don't live together, is very present, and whose decisions, as far as can be are really for the benefit of Sophie. And I feel like there is often a representation in films of a dad who is more of a deadbeat dad, and I wanted to portray something different.
And super quickly, you know, the incredible response you've had back from when it was in Cannes, and then now here at London Film Festival. What does that mean to you, and what do you hope to do next?
I mean, it means everything. I hadn't really had time to consider what the response might be. This film had been such a long time in the making, and I was so focused on the process of making it. I never expected it to connect with quite so many people. It is quite a quiet and subtle film, and it seems to have branched a little beyond that and what I expected. And that's a beautiful thing. There's space in the film for people to fill out some of the gaps with their own experiences and to bring themselves to it too. And I think that's why it struck an emotional chord with people. As for what's next, I am not sure. I am enjoying this moment, enjoying sharing the film and sharing that experience with the team who made it. And we'll see what the future holds.
I think I'm out of time. Thank you so much for sharing all that with us, and we enjoy your presenting your film here at London Film Festival. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Cheers.
Thanks.